what seem harmless, but can be seriously life-threatening. Island beaches. There are a lot in Hawaii that are a lot more dangerous than tourists realize. Islands are on the edge of the vast ocean and can sweep people in. My husband, who has had too many near-death experiences, was at a bit at the popular tourist attraction Hanoma Bay with his uncle and we couldn't find him for a while. It was right as the tide was going down and he had to avoid both the coral and being pulled out. He was lucky to have made it back. I don't think I, or he, even truly understood the severity of the situation until a few years later when we actually lived in Hawaii and weren't dumb college students anymore. Queen's Bath in Hawaii is hella dangerous. Get too close to the rock edge and go over and you're basically in a natural meat grinder. Nothing you can do except let the waves slam you against the rock cliffs and pulverize you to death. I believe there was a warning sign saying how many people had died there. It was a lot. We have a place like that where I live called Peggy's Cove. Except we have very tame beaches here with very light currents, so people don't understand that getting swept into the water would be pretty much the end. Many tourists and locals have died, but I still see people way too close to the water edge every time I go. Hello fellow Nova Scotian. Wet tile. This is exactly why those prank videos of people putting butter on the tiles for people to slip on make me so angry. You can kill someone surprisingly easily that way. It's not funny at all. Oh god. There's a viral video of a dude doing this to himself as a joke, and he slips and kicks a counter or something and compound fractures his toe, and I've only seen it once, but my whole body is miserable just thinking about it. I was coming to comment. It's one video that makes me nauseous and made me very aware of how dangerous it is. The chick sliding into the oven just made me crack up though, so it's 50/50. Come in here and get your juice yelp crash it. Poor dental hygiene can lead to heart disease, as well as brain abscess. Any untreated infection in your face, sinus, ear, tooth, can travel to your brain. This literally happened to my grandpa this last weekend. Well, at least they caught it this last weekend and he needed a 4-hour surgery to fix it. He's doing okay now, but is still in the hospital. At first they thought it was a stroke because his right side was numb, and they thought he was having many heart attacks. The heart attacks were actually seizures brought on by the sinus infection putting pressure on his brain. I'm supposed to get sinus surgery as soon as possible due to 6+ month sinus infection, but insurance keeps denying me since my deductible has been met and it's the end of the year. I wasn't nervous before, but I'm now. Fuck insurance. Mushrooms. There is a saying, there are old mushroom hunters and old mushroom hunters, but there are no old mushroom hunters. Every mushroom is edible. Once, give a man some mushrooms and he'll no longer be hungry for the night. Tell a man to go find and eat mushrooms and he'll never be hungry for the rest of his life. Water. Surprising amount of people die of drowning. Pretty much any type of water sport can be ridiculously dangerous if you don't know how to do it safely or don't have the proper safety equipment. My dad loves whitewater kayaking and he was hesitant about teaching me because of how many times he has almost died. The thing most people don't consider/know about whitewater is the problem with the white part. You float in water. You do not float in highly aerated water. Oh crap, I did not know that. So do you have to just fight like hell to get to the surface or pray you don't die before getting spit back up? This is why you wear a life jacket and hope it does its job. Typically in any water scenario, you don't fight unless you're physically trapped. You need to conserve as much air as possible and hope the life jacket will bring you to the surface. Of course there are countless of other whitewater hazards that will still make the situation a nightmare. Even experienced kayakers can die. Also, never ever go out on the water alone. I was a whitewater rafting guide and I've spent my whole life around the ocean. Springs in double pane windows. The windows are heavier than you think, so the springs are pretty strong. A friend that works as a maintenance guy at an apartment complex posted a pic of one of the balancers, as they're called, that came loose and went completely through the motorcycle helmet he wears when replacing them. It still cracked his skull. And the doc said if he wasn't wearing the helmet he would have definitely died. Scary to think something as simple as a window can kill you. We all know garage springs are dangerous. But so are window springs. Till windows have springs. This is definitely not a universal fact. Only some windows have springs. Most modern residential windows do not. All I've learned from this thread is that it's a miracle any of us are still alive. After watching the Final Destination movies for Halloween, I realized how anything could take a bad turn and get us killed. The first time I ever saw a tanning bed was in one of those movies. It's now engraved in my brain to never ever mess with those things, no matter how pale I get. I refuse to drive behind logging trucks or trucks carrying rubber. I never drive my ATV through barbed wire fences anymore. On the beach. Oh, look. The water is going way out. A tsunami. Yes. A Brit girl in vacation saved thousands of lives because she had recently studied tsunamis in school. Link. Apparently hundreds, not thousands. https n wikipedia org/wiki/tilly_smith. Crossing the road, even when doing it properly, which is why I look both ways the entire time I cross the road. I've seen how some of y'all drive, and it doesn't inspire confidence. Towards oncoming traffic, then the opposite direction, then back at oncoming, even on one-way streets. Because people are idiots. Even crossing at a crosswalk, I'll look around a stopped vehicle. It saved me when the bus stopped for us, but the truck in the other lane didn't. Walking around or behind a horse without keeping your hand on it. Horses can get very scared very fast, and a well-placed kick can break your neck, leave you a vegetable, or even stop your heart. If you must move around one, keep a hand on it after it is aware of your presence and slide it with you so it knows where you are. Also stay very close to it the whole time so the potential kick has less wind up. Carrot that. Saving someone with a Heimlich grip. You can definitely rupture someone's organs with this move, and people have died as a result of being saved by this procedure. Always send someone to the hospital after doing this, as the victim might otherwise bleed to death in their sleep that night. When I was in grade school, my best friend's dad had to be taken to the hospital because he choked on a bite of steak. I could not for the life of me figure that scenario out. I knew that you died pretty fast if you couldn't get air. So how on earth did they get him all the way to the hospital without him dying? I just now, like 20 years later, realized that he choked on the steak, dislodged it there at home, and then went to the hospital. That seems like common sense reasoning now as an adult, but as a kid I couldn't quite get it. Thanks for putting those puzzle pieces together for me. I choked on a piece of steak before. My friend managed to dislodge it enough with a sharp hit on the back that I could get enough air to make it to A&E, but it was still lodged in my throat. Carbon monoxide. Since you can't smell or taste it, you won't know it's there. Co-terrifies me. We have like 6 detectors in our house. My mom went to high school with this kid who lost his entire family to CO a few years after graduation. He and his wife had a new baby. They were at his parents' house for the holidays around Christmas. All of his extended family was there. Their baby was having trouble breathing, so he and his wife took the baby to the ER. By the time they got back, everyone else was dead of carbon monoxide poisoning. He lost his whole family. Local codes only require one co-detector in the whole house. We've got them outside all the bedrooms, by the furnace room, by the dryer, etc. I don't mess around with that stuff. Holy shit, that's horrifying. I imagine he discovered it as well. I don't really know the full story because this was an old acquaintance of my mom's and not someone she was close to, but if I recall correctly, they figured out it was likely co-poisoning because of the baby's symptoms and tried calling his parents' house and ended up calling the police when they couldn't get through. For a serious and somewhat generic answer, probably not getting enough sleep or not drinking enough water. I'm guilty of both of these things, but it can really make you feel like utter shit and lead to serious health complications. This and stress, lack of sleep combined with a toxic, draining relationship over a long time can not only fuck you up mentally, for me it made my immune system bad as shit. Basically being ill all the time and every cold getting quite severe. Could only lay in bed. Once my ex called an ambulance cause I was coughing like crazy and had bad trouble breathing. Was still just a cold/bronchitis. I'm no longer in that relationship, plus I get enough sleep most of the time now. Haven't been ill in at least half a year I think. I hear you on this one. I was in a toxic work environment for a year, trying to please a boss who was emotionally unstable. I had stomach ulcers, depression, anxiety, couldn't sleep well, couldn't enjoy time with my family. As with other people this person managed. She decided I was a problem and fired me. Probably the best thing that could happen considering I got a severance. I was in a similar situation with my first job and broke out in psoriasis all over my body. I'd never had it before, and it's now a chronic condition that isn't going anywhere apart from potentially to my future kids, because that shit's hereditary as well. Woo. Moral of the story is that no job is worth stressing so much your immune system goes haywire. Water that you only think is deep. Always check before you jump. Always. My neighbor jumped off a cliff into water and broke both her heels. She's lucky it was just her heels. She really was. Eating peanut butter directly out of the jar with a spoon. If you choke on it, it's going to be nearly impossible to dislodge. https://1,981/0//18/magazine/l-dangerous-peanut-butter-227,906 https://www.nightimes.com/1,981/0//18/magazine/l-dangerous-peanut-butter-227,906 HTML. Nobody's gonna mention the author of the letter is Drive. Henry Himmlich. I'm glad you did. Notes appearing around the house that you didn't put there. Oh. Carbon monoxide. That thread was pretty crazy. What thread? Eating cinnamon. Was looking to see if anyone said this. Cinnamon will dry your mouth and throat out badly. It'll mess you up quick. That whole cinnamon spoonful fad a few years ago, maybe more than a few. I'm getting old, was super dangerous. I don't remember if anyone died, but I know people ended up in the hospital. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, we give kids shit for the Tide Pod nonsense, which is still dumber. But we were out there eating spoonfuls of cinnamon, drinking whole gallons of milk, and other weird food challenges that weren't safe either. I didn't know anyone who went to the hospital, but one of my friends got violently ill and burned her throat pretty bad from the cinnamon challenge. Leaving a tampon in too long can cause toxic shock syndrome, and it can be deadly. I'm so freaking glad they've come up with alternatives to tampons and pads. If I ever have a girl daughter get her period as early as I did, I'm getting her period panties. They would have saved me so much embarrassment in elementary and middle school. Good idea, but what if you have a boy daughter? Shit, they really didn't think this through. Shingles. It is already inside you. It is miserable. I had shingles at 30 on my right side shoulder, neck, scalp and ear mostly. It can come back again, and in a different place. I'm scared of it being on my face and blinding me. I got it at 43, and it was around my eye, like less than an inch from my eyeball. I was very fortunate though it hurt like hell. My answer, stairs. I fell down the stairs when I was 13 and couldn't sit for like 2 months, and I now have a bony bump on my hip 10 years later. In hindsight I wonder if I mildly broke my pelvis and it healed wrong. But yeah, stairs can seriously fuck you up. I think I broke my pelvis as a kid too. Now I have one leg fairly noticeably longer than the other. It definitely healed wrong because I hid it from my parents to avoid punishment. Water. Drink too much, you die. Drink too little, you die. Inhale even the slightest amount, you guessed it, you die. This is why you're supposed to drink when you're thirsty and stop when you're no longer thirsty, regardless of what others say you should be drinking. And swallow. Pranking someone with allergies by giving them a little bit of that allergen. I've seen articles of people putting peanuts into an allergic person's food. What the fuck? That's not a prank. That's straight up attempted murder. My friend is deathly allergic to peanuts and tree nuts, and one time a kid chased him around with peanuts in his hand. Kid got suspended. Food allergies are not something to mess around with. There's a reason why food tampering is a felony, even if there's no negative results. Even in subs like Pata Revenge they tell users to not fuck with your own food that gets stolen. Literally anything if you throw it hard enough. Even a marshmallow. You eat it at supersonic speeds. Fair enough, well played sire. A marshmallow at that speed would generate the force of 2401 N, which is equivalent to an average amateur boxer's punch. You'd be fine. Edit. No. It would only cause 2.4 N of force. You would barely feel it. Garage door springs. I'm very handy and can fix everything around the house. But I don't fuck with garage door springs. I call the experts in for that one. I'm the same way but with cars. I'll do anything except fuck with coil springs. If you want struts replaced I'll do it if they are preloaded, but I'll be damned if I will ever disassemble a strut even with the proper tools. Sunburns can be very dangerous. Normally you don't think too much of them. Just a few days of irritated/itchy skin. But if you aren't careful you drastically increase your chance of getting malignant melanoma, skin cancer, through a handful of decent sunburns. Did anyone else read that as sideburns can be very dangerous? Honestly, just driving back and forth from work always seems so benign that I forgot to be thankful for getting home safely. Car accidents are one of the leading causes of death in the US. I was involved in over 20 car accidents when I was between 15 and 25. Only 3 of them was I in the driver's seat, and only one was my fault. That one was due to the brake master cylinder cap gasket failing and all my brake fluid being pushed out. I used my air brake and ended up only barely denting the bumper of the truck in front of me. Most of the accidents were fender benders. A couple were pretty bad. When my so and I got together 14 years ago, he was always super annoyed at my freaked out sounds whenever he was following someone kinda close or someone cut us off in traffic. Even though I told him that as a passenger, I'm an accident magnet, and told him about all my previous accidents, he thought I was exaggerating until he was rear-ended 3 times in 2 years with me in the car, more than he had ever been hit in his life. I drive us everywhere now, and we haven't been in an accident in over 10 years. He has not gotten hit when he drives without me, either. I love driving. I just hate it when other people aren't driving well, which is always blech. Eating rice that's been left out for a while. I don't think I've heard this one before, which is a little concerning. What is it about rice specifically that makes it so dangerous? If you leave cooked rice out at room temp for a few hours, it can grow Bacillus cereus bacteria which will give you very bad food poisoning which can kill you. It's actually sometimes called fried rice syndrome because people will cook rice and leave it to cool for frying later. But don't fry it hot enough to kill the bacteria that's already grown. Lots of foods can grow B. cereus. It's just death is more common with rice I believe. It's not the bacteria so much as the toxins it produces. The longer it's at room temperature the more toxins accumulate. Cooking has no effect on removing them. Heartbreak. It can literally cause distress in the aortic valve, and over time with enough distress tear open. Not massively but just enough. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.